This week's episode mentions issues around gender and suicide. Please take care when listening.
You are beautiful, no matter what you say.
Eavesdroppin.
Michelle, Margarita, how are you?
I'm very good. Geordie Michelle.
Here we are, the presenters of your favourite weekly comedy storytelling podcast, Eavesdroppin. No G, just an apostrophe. That's where you are. Congrats!
Well done. Well done to you. You found us. Tell your friends. We like it when you tell your friends about us.
Spread the word. Start spreading the news.
Exactamundo. In fact, Geordie has been working very hard on our British Podcast Award submission. And we say this every year. The way people find us is by spreading the love, spreading the words. Don't spread anything else.
No.
Spread the butter.
Spread the butter. Spread the love butter.
Spread the... Oh my God. No. Yes, so we will be giving you information in the coming weeks about how you can vote for us and tell all your friends.
In listener's choice, yes.
Exactly, because you're choice listeners, aren't you? Your choice. Do you remember when that was a saying?
You are our choice.
Oh, mate, that was choice.
Yeah, I do remember that. Choice. It's funny, because I was thinking today about sayings and whether words that were previously uncool would become cool again and vice versa. We always say, hey, guys, guess what, guys? There was this guy walking down the road. He was a cool guy. Cool for a start. I don't know how much longevity that word has. I feel like it's already on the way out. I feel like cool is very fucking uncool. And guys, what's wrong with chaps? What's wrong with, what else does my mother say? Not dudes. Fellows.
Fellow.
She loves to use the word fellow. There was a lovely fellow at the shop. He was a lovely young fellow. Hey, fellows, how is it going?
Wonderful. Fellows is a lovely word. I'd say bring it back. But I will tell you, I am currently in Australia. I am spending time with my nieces. One is 10, one is 12.
Are they educating you?
Not deliberately. It's just by osmosis because we went shopping and my niece wanted this pair of slippers with like a happy smiley face on, like a smiley face emoji on top. Yeah. And she's like, oh my God, Auntie Mish, they're so preppy.
Preppy?
Yes, preppy now means something completely new.
What does it mean? Preppy used to be like the college look, didn't it?
It did, like varsity, college, kind of, a little bit Menendez brothers. Boat loafers, whatever.
Ugh, they're coming back. Oh, I can't stand them.
Come on, you saw all those Aussies on Maths Australia. They've all got the tight jeans and the boat shoes.
Tight jeans. Get over the tight jeans, especially on a man that's been working out too hard. Don't do that, guys. I used to work for a denim brand. Often the tight jean was the big thing. I just don't like it on a man.
Well, it's tight a tight jean.
Short ankle. No,
they love it.
Not made for your body, rugby player.
Well, I will also tell you this for free. Jen, who will not watch Maths Australia, is obsessed with Farmer Wants a Wife.
What's that?
There's not a tight jean in sight.
Oh, it's a baggy
on this
chino?
Reality. They love a country cowboy hat.
Yeah, that's a good look.
It's a good look. It's very manly. It's very rugged.
It's a manly look. Oh, you haven't finished telling me what you started to tell me.
Oh, about preppy?
Preppy. What does it mean?
Well, preppy just means kind of something completely different. She was trying to explain it to me. It was pretty loose. I didn't really get the full gist of it.
Right.
All people of a certain generation who knows this word, preppy, cannot believe it's been reappropriated into this whole new...
So whatever it is, we're never going to know because you stood there, listened to the explanation and said, I'm sorry, love, I don't understand. No, sorry, you've lost me.
It didn't make any sense. I mean, it wasn't like you could pinpoint a particular look. Like, as soon as you say preppy, everyone from a certain generation, as you said, it's varsity, it's college look, it's those jackets, varsity jackets.
What's varsity? You keep saying the word varsity. I didn't say varsity. You said varsity. What is that?
Did I say varsity?
Yeah, you said, as you said, varsity. But you said varsity. No. Varsity.
How can you not know what varsity is?
Well, why don't you explain it to me and let's see what it is and why I would not know it.
Kind of like a baseball bomber jacket with Columbia Okay, imagine a bomber jacket and you've
Yes.
got
I know what that is. I
your
know
university logo on it.
the collegiate jacket is what I would call that. The collegiate bomber, yes. The baseball.
Okay, that's
the
varsity.
baseball.
That's preppy.
Varsity? But I'm still not understanding what you're talking about when you say varsity. Varsity. I just want to Google it. Var-shitty. I see. Yeah. Why are they calling it varsity? What does varsity mean?
It means collegiate. It's just another word for college in America, which is university.
Varsity means college. Oh, it's only come up in Hindi for some reason.
Okay.
Oh, my skills are not very good here.
Not
my
good.
Googling skills.
But yeah, so I have been getting an education from a 10-year-old. And not a good one because I still can't tell you what it means.
I'll tell you what it means. It is the first string team, especially in sports, that represents a school, college, university, or the like. So it's if he's on the varsity team in tennis or debating, he's in the main team. There you go. He's in the big team. It's just a college term or university term, but probably American. Hence, that's why I don't know what it means.
Right. Well, I've just done a Google on what preppy is. Did you know that these 10-year-olds are called Gen Alpha?
Yes.
I did not know this. They're saying preppy has changed. It's a lot more pink, a lot more bow ties. It's cutesy.
Ew. So it's cutesy.
Now, I'm going to L.com, who are breaking down what preppy means now.
For the over 30s, yep.
They're saying it's much more exciting than it was in 1980. Don't think so.
Yep. Hang on a sec.
Look, all I'm going to say is
telling you.
preppy is different now.
It's different, but no one's explaining it to our generation. Hence, there will be now a generation gap.
Look, shall I get this 10-year-old in and she can tell me what preppy means?
Go on. Here she is, Isla, the girl who told her auntie what preppy meant, but for some reason her auntie can't remember what you said. So tell us.
What
does it mean?
Tell me.
So preppy is like leopard print and like colourful
Leopard print?
colours and like smiley faces. For example, if there's like a pink jumper and then there's like a smiley face on it, or it's basically like skincare or
Skincare?
and claw clips, like little.
No wonder you were confused, Michelle. So it's covering a lot of bases.
of
It's everything.
bases.
It's cute things. Things that you like that are cute, basically.
Yeah.
Is that what it means?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
All right. Thank you very much for
You're
that
welcome.
information. It's very good.
Right. So basically, Michelle, you didn't ask enough questions in order to break it down.
I didn't.
That's how much you cared about the new lingo.
I mean, look, she lost me at pink and...
Well, she lost me at bloody leopard print.
I was like, leopard print's preppy?
When did that come into it? You two better watch out. We don't like innocents around here.
As I've mentioned already once on this podcast,
Yes.
I'm currently in Australia. And Geordie, I just wanted to just talk a little bit about a story that has been trending here. It's a true crime trending story.
Okay.
Maybe
Yeah.
you've heard about it. 2 Australians.
Oh, I read it this morning.
You read it this morning. Okay.
Yeah.
So you know about this.
The 2 Aussie brothers who went missing in Mexico with an American friend. Is that it?
Well, they weren't brothers. They were just surfers. They were mates.
The report I read, the 2 boys were brothers.
It's Dean Lucas and Adam Coleman. So unless they were mothers from different
That's
brothers.
not what I read this morning. I thought how sad that both her sons have gone missing at once.
Well, they don't really look similar. They're not reporting it as brothers in Australia.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe you've got more accurate, obviously being in Australia, you've got more accurate information.
It's such a tragic story because obviously these 2 surfers, trip of a lifetime, I believe they'd gone to Canada, then they went to Mexico, and they've been missing since November. They were meant to go to Guadalajara, but they never arrived, and they've been searching basically for bodies since then.
Australian brothers, it says here. Australian brothers and US tourist.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that.
Today's news.
Dean Lucas and Adam Coleman.
Jake and Callum Robinson.
What?
This is Jake and Callum Robinson. This is different.
What?
2 Australian brothers and a US tourist went missing in Mexico, and they were shot dead by thieves who wanted their truck tires.
This is something different,
There's
Geordie.
2 different stories.
Oh my God. The moral of the story here is don't go to fucking Mexico right now. Jesus.
No one's safe.
No one is
so
safe.
this has both happened in Mexico.
Yes. sorry. We were obviously talking at cross purposes because I thought she hasn't read the bloody story. But no, two different stories. Like I said, two mates, Australian surfers Dean Lucas, Adam Coleman, trip of a lifetime. They were both 33. They've been missing for quite some time. So they'd gone from Canada to Mexico. They didn't arrive as planned in Guadalajara. Then two bodies were found in a van.
Oh, God.
On a back road in this remote part of Sinaloa, which is full drug cartel country. And basically, it looks like a robbery gone wrong.
Oh, well, that's what it sounds like for these other poor boys as well.
Yeah, they obviously tried to rob these two surfers.
Fucking hell.
They're all on it. It's not good.
It's a shock, isn't it? That's really shocking.
And you're saying there's two Aussie brothers.
Yes, two Australian brothers who were also shot
Oh, my God.
and killed by robbers, yes, in Mexico. Very, very sad. It's weird that we're both talking about this right now because today's story that I'm going to tell you, it's a one-hander, ladies and gentlemen, is about a Mexican reality star, actually.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, my God. Can I just say, I actually think I looked at the wrong story and your story is the... Your story is the current news story, and I think my Aussie surfers, I'm trying to figure out, like, did I get the wrong news story? I mean, it exists. It's a real story, but I don't think it's the current one.
You're a bit confused.
I said I was jet lagged. I actually think I could be gen lagged because I've been with the gen. So, excuse me, but look, you just got two news stories for the price of one.
Both equally tragic,
Terrible,
obviously.
terrible.
And so is today's story as well, actually, Michelle. It's very weird because it was something that I just innocently stumbled across whilst, what do you say, channel surfing, flicking around on the
telly?
Sky remote.
On the telly.
On the telly. Exactly. We hadn't had enough up-to-date recommendations from all our lovely listeners, although I haven't watched, what was the other one that Safka recommended? The Talented Mr. Ripley. Ripley, it's just called Ripley. I haven't watched that yet. That's next. So my husband and I were just flicking around and then he didn't want to watch this at all because it had to do with reality.
Was your husband giving you a flick?
He gave this documentary the flick.
Okay.
The remote got the flick.
Okay.
Yes.
Good.
But we are watching Ghosts thanks to Yannicka from Amsterdam's recommendation, and we watched 4 episodes as a family.
Okay.
And we all really enjoyed it because it's really hard to get those kids out of their bedrooms and off their devices.
I know. It's worldwide.
It's a pandemic. So this week I'd stumbled across, like I said, a documentary on Channel 4 here in the UK, and it was about a reality series called There's Something About Miriam. It was a Sky One show back in 2003, which I completely missed. So I must have been just living my life and it did not entail.
What was it called?
Sky. There's Something About Miriam. It was groundbreaking for many reasons, which I'll go on to explain. But it was also pre-Love Island, pre-Maths, when all those things were just a twinkle in some TV producer's eyes. This was the very first kind of dating show with a massive surprise.
Wow.
at the
Well,
end.
I certainly didn't know about this. It passed me by also. I was under a rock somewhere.
The actual documentary was not called that. It was called Miriam, Death of Reality Star, which is a bit of a spoiler. And that piqued my interest. So I watched it. It was a 3-parter. And I'm here to regale you with the information that I soaked up.
Amazing. Because we know what happens here. She dies.
Yeah. But there's a lot more to it. And there's a lot of questions as well, which some listeners will want answered.
Okay.
So it's about the whole 2003. Michelle, 2003, have you got anything for me with regards to the top 10 or the top 3 singles? Let's not go 5, let's do 3. Top 3 singles in 2003 in the UK. What do we got?
Okay, hang on. Google.
I feel like saying, what is love? Maybe don't hurt me. But that'll be the 90s, right?
I don't
It's
know.
probably something like, said maybe.
No.
Gotta be the one to save me.
All right, I'm just going to give you a little bit. So we've got, so December 2002. So going into 2003,
Yeah.
number 1 for 4 weeks.
With a bullet?
Sound of the Underground. Girls Aloud.
Oh, okay. Right.
Yeah.
That one passed me by.
Cheesy. Tattoo. All the things she said.
Oh,
all the things she said.
All the things she said. All the things she said. All the things she said.
Oh my God. No one can sing that song.
What a dreadful
Other
bunch
things
of songs
she said,
already.
da-da-da-da-da.
Oh my God.
And then this one. You are beautiful no matter what you say.
Yes. Okay. So that's a pretty appalling year for songs, by the sound of it.
Really. And it gets even worse. R. Kelly's in there with Ignition. We've got Crazy in Love, Beyonce.
Oh, that came out
Are You
there.
Ready for Love? Elton John.
Are
oh
you
my God.
ready?
This is...
Are you ready for love? Yes, that's a very poor year for tunes. Sorry, guys. Even though it's dominated by women.
Leave Right Now, Will Young. He was up there.
No, I think you can stop right there, Michelle. You can leave right now. I've had enough of this shit music.
It wasn't a great year. 2003. Put that in the bin for music.
In it goes. But let me tell you about this reality TV show that this documentary was based on. It's, like I said, called There's Something About Miriam. And it was about a beautiful Mexican model called Miriam. She was contacted by the producers of this show to star as the object of desire for 6 competing men. And whoever won the challenges each week would win a date with Miriam and get to win her over. Maybe a little bit like your mum's favourite show at the moment, The Farmer Wants a Wife, but in reverse.
Wants a wife. Well, yes.
Is that how it goes?
Farmer wants a wife. I don't know. Farmer Joe got his kid off. I saw some abs. I saw some cheek.
What? Ass cheek?
Yes.
He got his ass cheek out.
He did. Farmer wants more than just a wife. We almost had some full frontal nudity.
That's like a primetime TV show. Is that appropriate to be showing cheek on 7:30 or whatever it's on?
Well, he did put a bunch of flowers over the main attraction.
Bloody hell. That's practically porn. My God.
Well, I'm not talking the bum hole. I'm talking about the front main attraction.
Yes, still, it's all very, it's very rude. I will tell you something that I found hilarious on this Ghosts. We're only on episode 4 of the English Ghosts. You know the premise. This couple have moved into a house. The woman, for some reason, can see all these ghosts that have been existing in there for years. They've all died on the grounds. One of them is quite a prissy older lady. And when they had workmen in, she was turning around. Everywhere she saw was arse crack. She couldn't believe her eyes. It was, it was like, oh, she was screaming and screaming. I thought it was hilarious.
It's a comedy.
Yes, it's a comedy.
Oh,
it's
it sounds great.
The guys from Horrible Histories.
Oh, lovely.
Anyway, getting back to my Miriam story. So, beautiful Mexican model. She's the object of desire. 6 competing men. They would win a challenge each week. They'd get to spend time with Miriam and trying to win her over because at the end, she gets to choose just one guy who would be the winner, and he would get the trip of a lifetime to share with Miriam, the hope of everlasting love, plus £10,000. So each week, man by man, they would be kicked out.
Right.
Because she'd go, well, you know, she's not vibing. He's given her the ick, whatever.
Yep.
And that's how it goes. What's not to like? It sounds just like all those lovely programs that we love to watch, like Maths and like your mum likes Farmer Wants a Wife. And it was hosted by ex-Blue Peter hottie, Tim Vincent. Yes, question marks flying everywhere.
Who?
If you saw him, you'd know who he was.
Right. I'm like,
But I don't think he's worked since, to be fair.
okay.
And there's a reason for that.
Ooh.
And the show took place at a villa in Ibiza with cameras everywhere to capture their every move. All the crew members on this, they had to sign an NDA before the true purpose of the show was actually revealed.
Oh, shit.
Miriam had a secret. This was the twist in the tale, if you like. Her secret would only be revealed at the end. And I'll tell you what the secret was, spoiler.
I can already guess. Miriam's a man. Miriam's a dude.
Yep.
Oh, man.
Miriam,
Shit.
let me point out, had lived half of her life as a trans woman.
Right.
She was 21 at this point, and she'd been taking hormones since she was 11 years old.
Right.
She was very feminine, very beautiful. No surgery, except for the boobs. That was it.
I've got to look Miriam up.
Look her up. She's absolutely stunning. In New York in 1999, young Miriam became known in the ballroom scene, which is a subculture based on African American and Latino LGBTQ and drag scenes. You'll know about it if you watch RuPaul's Drag Race.
Yes.
They always reference it. And also Vogue, the song by Madonna, that's based on the ballroom scenes as well. Trans women were celebrated in the ballroom scenes, and they'd all be joining different houses, such as the one that Miriam was in, which was House Extravaganza. and she would compete in pageants and she would win every show and pageant. She was just mesmerizing, so feminine.
I'm looking at
You'll
pictures
see.
of her.
And her voice is high.
She's very pretty,
Yeah.
very pretty.
You would never guess she was
No,
a
she's
man
got a little bit
originally.
Cindy Crawford look about her, actually.
Yes, she does. You're absolutely right. Well, she was born Hugo in 1981.
Sorry.
Always a sensitive child.
Hugo!
Laugh.
She's Mexican and she's called
Hugo.
Hugo. Maybe.
Yeah.
Okay,
You
Hugo.
don't pronounce it the way I pronounced it. And she had 3 brothers. They were from a poor neighborhood. But little Hugo was always impeccably turned out and also bullied from a young age, as you can imagine. Her father didn't accept Miriam and couldn't understand why his son was the way that he was. And one day when Miriam was 11, he found her wig and skirt that she used to like dressing up in under a bed. And so he went about getting treatment to kind of pray the gay away. He went to a church. And this minister came to the house and said he was there to pray for Hugo and get the demon out and all this kind of thing. And there was a bit of an exorcism that took place, which is shocking for the rest of the family. But they were so shocked they couldn't do anything about it. But suffice to say, nothing changed with Hugo. And Dad turned his back on her eventually.
That's so harsh.
It is harsh. Eventually, at 15, she ran away from home to Tijuana and began working in a strip club and lived in a group house with other trans women. She had a friend called Daniela who was also trans. She was like a sister to her. She was an older girl who she went to work with in the salons in Tijuana. Then she got her boob job on the money she was making living in Tijuana. And then she left for California, where she attended school, high school, and she got a boyfriend. And she was fully Miriam at this point.
Now, can I ask?
Yes.
So she's got the boobs.
She's pre-op.
Pre-op. Yeah. So she's got the D, no V.
No ops.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
So obviously the boyfriend got a bit handsy at some point, discovered her secret, and he became extremely angry and vindictive and exposed Miriam's other life, which made it impossible for her to stay at the school, so she left. By all accounts, Miriam was a gorgeous person, beautiful person inside and out, and she had the honor of being one of the first transgender people to appear on TV.
Okay.
She was also in a manufactured trans girl band called Speed Angels, which was like the Spice Girls, where they all had a different personality. And this is how Endemol, the Dutch-English production company who started Big Brother, noticed her. The producer, Remy Blumenfeld of this show, Something About Miriam, got in touch with her and said, would you like to be in this new dating show? She was up for it. So they shipped her out to Ibiza and off they went.
Now, at this point, Miriam knows that it's a replica of what happened to her at school. She's a woman, no one knows her secret, and then when she reveals, it's a 50-50 whether she's going to be accepted or rejected.
Yes. Well, that is a very good point to make at this point. She knew the potential pitfalls, I suppose, because of her history. Yet she still signed up to it. I suppose she may have been told that they were going to be casting open-minded, liberal-thinking young men. And that is what they continue to say, actually, throughout the documentary.
Because this is the thing, like in the early 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s, it was the Wild West of reality TV. There were no rules.
Not a lot of care taken with the people who were in it. If you look at Big Brother.
There was no duty of care towards the contestants, the participants, and it was very exploitative and very abusive, you know. So
yeah, damaging.
I also think that there have been reports since about the contestants being lied to about the premise, about what they thought they were getting into.
Yes.
So,
well, yes. It sounds like we're setting ourselves up for a bit of this already, right?
Poor Miriam.
The documentary featured only 2 of the contestants out of the 6 of the boys that were enlisted to compete for Miriam's attention. But all these boys, they've got footage of the show and they show it in the documentary. All these boys were in their 20s. And back in 2003, they were typical lads. Aaron Lane was one of them who spoke, and he tells how he saw the ad in a paper and was enticed by the massive prize. Who wouldn't be? And the fact that it was a dating show. He was a bit like Jack Lad, ready to meet a girl. And also I might point out that Miriam was ready to meet someone and settle down as well. She just wanted love. That's all she wanted. Toby Green was the other guy that featured on there, and his mum applied for him. She was really happy for him to be on TV. She thought it was a great idea. So when the boys all did the form filling in, like the to be chosen as the contestants, there were some iffy questions, such as, what do you like to do in the bedroom? Are you experimental? All this kind of stuff. Or If your best friend got with your mum, how would you feel?
Oh, what?
Unusual questions. I guess this was their way at trying to weed out the really stuck in their ways or quite strongly offended people, maybe. I don't know.
I think that that's a little obtuse. I knew somebody whose best friend got with their mum. You are not necessarily close-minded if you don't think that that's cool.
I agree.
I don't know what they were getting at with that question. It's crazy.
I know. I mean, how would you feel? Honestly, it's a difficult one for these young 20-somethings. But
yes.
Anyway, then they had to get through that. They had to then go and audition. And then you saw clips of them all throwing various shapes and doing backflips and what have you. And then eventually 6 were chosen. And they were all sent off to the airport. And that's where they all met at a bar and they figured out who each other was and all high-fiving and slapping backs and excited about their upcoming adventure. But right before they were due to board the flight, Michelle, the producers came in with an enormous fat contract for them each to sign.
Oh, Jesus.
Now, they were a little bamboozled at this point. They didn't have the time or the focus. They'd been at the bar all of the, run up to the flight time.
Yeah.
And so they just quickly flipped through it, signed it, boarded the flight to Ibiza, desperate to meet a model.
Of course. And have a shot at that big prize money. And love.
And love.
What's not to love about the premise of this show?
Well,
on the surface.
The premise is being used over and over and over
Yeah.
again, still to this day, but obviously with a little more sensitivity to this one, because I have to say, at this point, was this all just a jolly jape using the life of Miriam to banjack 6 men in the name of entertainment?
Yeah.
Because obviously the whole thing was leading up to this big reveal at the end.
Yep.
But before we get there, I will tell you that on day 1 of the show, it was just watching these lads running around their villa, calling shotgun every 2 seconds for this, that and the other. It was a £2 million mansion that they were staying in, actually. Couldn't wait to meet their model, bouncing off the beds, talking about getting trashed, all this kind of thing. Then you got to meet each one of them. There was Tom, the cheeky chap with all the confidence and personality because he was training to be an actor. He was in and out of drama school. He slotted into the role of group leader quite normally. Then there was Scott, who's an alpha male kickboxer, totally smitten in the end by Miriam.
Kickboxer. Oh,
Yeah.
dear.
And then there was the ex-Marine Dom, who on the first night had the men get naked together, weirdly.
What?
Except for one of them. He was like, yeah, come on, everyone, let's get naked. So they were filming this, obviously
Oh my
all
God.
blurred out where the Dicky Didos were. And they're jumping in and out of the pool and pissing in the pool. Is it okay to have a piss in the pool?
No, it's not.
But they're absolutely so drunk. And I'm watching it going, oh, my God. Imagine watching this back 20 years later. How
And
upsetting.
going, that's my dad. Oh, Dad was on reality TV show. There he is. Jesus.
There was one guy, Mark, who was the reserved one. He thought that them all being naked was rather off. So that's just one to pin for the moment. They all went nuts on this first night. They drank all the alcohol that they were supposed to last them the whole week, engaging in rowdy behaviour, all of this kind of stuff. And then day 2, episode 2, I suppose, saw the first challenge, which entailed seeing Miriam for the first time. Their challenge was to swim out to the yacht where she's standing, get to her first, grab a kiss. And then whoever did that would get the first date with Miriam.
Right.
But en route, Mark, who was the reserved one, he needed to be rescued. So that was him out.
Yeah.
And Tom got there first, gave Miriam a massive slobbery kiss. But when Toby, one of the guys who was interviewed in the documentary, got there, he awkwardly kissed her and then was ushered to the back of the boat. He was feeling a bit woozy, I think, because they'd all had hangovers as well.
Yeah, of course.
But he got a weird vibe and he started to think, what's going on? And he felt really weird and like something's slightly off. I think she's a guy. He did think that straight away.
Knew it
Yep.
straight up. My God. So his trans radar was like on high alert.
He just felt like something was off and he wasn't
Yeah.
100% sure. And there were no mics on because they'd just been swimming. But he did mention this to both Dom and Tom. But they just said, oh, no, don't be ridiculous. They gave him the brush off. They said, no,
Oh,
you've never
God.
seen a woman before. Look at the state of her. She's gorgeous.
Right.
So that night, then Miriam comes along to the villa with the boys. They lap her up, give her all the attention, all vying to get her attention and make an
Yeah.
impression on her.
including the one who had his suspicions.
Well, Toby still had doubts, but it appears that he did clock straight away what was going on. But eventually he let it go because he didn't know if he was right, Plus, he didn't want to upset her if he wasn't right, I suppose.
That's actually the other side of the coin to this, isn't it? If someone's not trans and you're like, are you a bloke?
Yeah, that's offensive.
It's crushing.
Production staff who were with them all the time and interacting with the boys, they found the whole thing very hard to keep secret during filming. But like I said, they'd become friendly with the boys, but they were told not to tell lies when speaking with them. But it was also important not to indicate any pronouns.
So it's just like, well, Miriam.
You would say she, though, because she's transgender. You would call her she. But I think the reason why they told them not to say, in retrospect now, I'm thinking about this, they told them to not say pronouns, I guess, so that they wouldn't get into trouble for leading them up the garden path when they have the reveal. So at this point, that shows me that they knew there would be some repercussions.
Yes, definitely the production company would. But let's not forget, this is 2003. Pronouns were not a thing. It wasn't in common vernacular.
Well, pronouns have always been a thing.
No, but
pronouns have always existed.
I know.
There was only the two at that time that we knew of.
What I mean by in common usage speech at the moment, people just say, what are your pronouns? It's so understood what that means now. Back in 2003, I think that would be very confusing because the separation of, you would just assume.
Yeah, well, exactly. But what I'm saying is, rather than saying he or she, there's no asking about their pronouns. Instead of saying she, they weren't allowed to say that about Miriam. I think so that they weren't leading these boys, like basically lying to them because they didn't know Miriam's secret.
And I agree with you. I just think that these boys might not have clocked or twigged to what was going on because it wasn't as common to have that in your everyday experience.
True. Well, they wouldn't have experienced this gorgeous model being not 100% what she said she was, I suppose.
Yeah,
and they completely went along thinking they were meeting a beautiful girl and that they were going to have a long-lasting relationship at the end of it. By day 3, Dom said out loud what Toby had been saying to them secretly, which was that Miriam might be a man. But he didn't believe it. But he said it on camera like, do you still think she's a man? Have you ever met a woman before? Come on, Toby, come on. What are you thinking?
Yeah.
There is no way this is a guy. And kind of belittled him.
Yeah.
But that thing, having that out loud and people knowing, prompted a move by production. They had Miriam then pick Toby for a date. So he won that challenge. And it was a really awkward date. The two of them were on a boat somewhere.
Okay.
In a little boat, hanging out. She was completely shut down, not engaging with him, totally unresponsive. He felt like, what can I do to win her over?
Yeah.
He was just really working hard, but it just kept falling flat. And then later on at the villa when they were all together, then she'd be really jovial with all the other guys. Whenever Toby asked her a question, she'd be like, oh, I'm tired.
Right.
I'm bored, that kind of response. So unsurprisingly, the first week's elimination was Toby.
Yep. And that's also a good move from production because it keeps their secret safe and their show going for the required number of episodes.
Exactly. So the others are left to try their best to impress her by singing, dating her as the evictions continue week in, week out, or day in, day out. I really know what the schedule was. And at one point, Aaron, the other guy who is on the documentary, felt he was in with a chance. On their date, they'd held hands. He got to give her a little kiss on the cheek. It was looking good. But then one night, he was on the sofa and he noticed her and Tom, the actor, on the balcony. He could see them, so he secretly watched them.
Yeah.
They were flirting up a storm, and then the kissing began.
Oh, my God.
They were getting quite hot and heavy, Michelle. There was a lot of passion. The production team were getting freaked out that Tom was kissing her without knowing exactly who she was and what the implications of that were.
Yeah. They're playing with fire.
Speaking of, before you said about the Wild West and how they were playing fast and loose with the reality shows of the 2000s. There was a guy called Dr. Gareth Smith. He was the consultant psychologist for this show, and he's also for Big Brother, and that's how Endemol knew him and asked him to come along. But he pointed out that the show was aired very soon after being trans was removed from the list of sexual perversions. So this is very, very early in acceptance kind of views, if you like.
Mm-hmm.
And as such, he had a massive fear when he saw the show's brief. And he felt that allowing this heavy petting to happen on film was a bad move. Because if Tom had discovered she was trans, he could have kicked off. His hands were wandering, Michelle. They were all over her.
Yeah.
So production at that point intervened in an unprecedented move. And all the others were like, well, why are they suddenly shutting this down? You know, it was a bit weird that they were suddenly coming in, shutting it all down, sending everyone off to bed. So gradually as the show went on, as the lads were being evicted, they were all being kept on the island for the final. So they would be hitting the bars and enjoying themselves. And their numbers grew as the reveal came closer and closer. And then there were silly lines coming out from, you know, the ads saying things like, they'll find out that she's as much Steve as Eve or Arthur as Martha. It was all a big joke, you know, it's terrible.
Yeah.
Getting ready for this big surprise. And then it was down to the two contestants that I mentioned at the top, Scott, who was the kickboxer, and Tom, who was the actor, to battle it out for Miriam's heart. And as I said to you before, Scott was really into her.
Yeah. And he's macho. He's really fucking alpha, right?
Yeah, they're both quite alpha, these guys, actually. The production crew were getting quite nervy about the big reveal because obviously they'd gotten to know the guys quite well. And this is when Dr. Gareth was actually drafted in. He was flown in, asked if he could support the cast. He'd done it before for Big Brother. He said yes. So they said, okay, well, we'll tell you all about it, but first sign this NDA, non-disclosure thing.
Because as you're telling me this, I keep thinking it's all well and good to have a psychologist here, but where's the person in charge of the ethics? There's no ethics control here.
There isn't any ethics committee at this point.
Fucking terrifying.
Yeah, it is. It's awful. So anyway, Dr. Gareth, as a specialist in transgender, he then broke the terms of the NDA and spoke to his boss. So great was his concern about this whole thing. Then there was a meeting 24 hours before the big reveal with the crew and Miriam and Dr. Gareth, right? And Remy Blumenfeld, who was the executive producer, he came in and announced that after the reveal, they'd go and have drinks and canapes, and then they'd all go into town and catch up with the other boys, and that Dr. Gareth could have 10 minutes with each boy as a kind of debrief when they find out the truth, to which Dr. Gareth said, I think I'll need more than 10 minutes, more like a couple of hours. And he also suggested...
These boys are fucking emotionally scarred. Like, they're going to have PTSD after this.
He also suggested that there should be no wrap party straight away, which is probably a good idea considering the amount of booze they could put away. And that was also in case the boys needed to take some time to process the information. But Remy insisted he wanted the shock factor. So Miriam, she's deciding which of the two finalists that she would choose. And she knew that they both really liked her. But it's felt, especially by Dr. Gareth, that she didn't really understand the impact that the reveal would have on them. And she really felt sure that Tom, who was her choice, the actor, would be fine because he was really open-minded. This is the guy she was snogging with. So she rejected any support that was offered from Dr. Gareth. Reveal. The leftover lads were brought back to the villa. They're all in a great big, you know, like standing back. Here it comes. She's going to choose. But they did notice when they re-entered the villa, suddenly there's all these beefy security stationed around, people they didn't recognize or know.
Oh, fuck.
And they're wondering why. They were all marched out to be filmed for the reveal and to find out who would win the 10 grand and a trip of a lifetime with Miriam. And then she chose Tom. And Scott lost gracefully, even though he was devastated because he absolutely adored her. And then everyone's hugging all round. But then Miriam broke the news, and it was a scripted statement that was written by the producers for maximum impact. But the crux of it was, I was born a man. To which Toby started laughing and saying, I knew it. And all the boys except for Tom and Scott were laughing.
Yeah, of course. Oh my God. This is like the worst schoolboy playground nightmare. You didn't really want to watch that, did you?
Spoiler alert! So I think the guys were pretty shocked. They were standing there silently. Their smiles had dropped from their faces. The level of deceit was really kicking in for Tom. He said he was lost for words. And then when presenter Tim Vincent said, are you going to claim the prize? He said, yes, why not? He kept on saying things like, well, we're, you know, good friends. We're pretty good friends, aren't we, Miriam? We'll have a nice time. I think he really didn't understand. And I think in his mind, he's thinking, what have I done? What have I done? What have I done? What's been filmed?
Yep.
But while he felt shocked and deceived, Scott felt it was completely unfair. And he said he'd lost all respect for Miriam. And then he got angry, went nuts,
Oh my
smashed
God.
the place up, chased
What?
the director, beat up the director.
Oh, my God.
And then we had Dr. Gareth going to talk to the boys where Tom's crying and Scott's pacing, and they're all furious at the crew. The tone had absolutely changed when it sank in they'd been duped in a really cruel way. So that leaves poor Miriam feeling sad and sorry for her part in the deceit, but it's really not her fault as far as I can see. Ultimately, the boys flew home in a somber mood. I'm not sure if they took the prize or not. I'm not sure. It never gets mentioned in the actual...
Well, they should take the fucking money. That's the least they could have taken. They should all have got a 10 grand prize for what they went through.
Well, let me explain what happened. They were concerned, all of them, about how they'd look at when the show came out. And they were put in a 5-star hotel upon return to London, where they all went nuts again on the bar tab. They were angry at this point, so they're just signing things, getting things sent up, smashing the room up, all on the tab for Endemol to pick up. And together, they decided to get an injunction to stop the show from coming out.
Yep, that's what I would do too.
So as a collective, they employed solicitors who convinced them to take the stance that they'd all been duped into sexual assault, basically, because they didn't know they were duped. So
And knowingly duped. Knowingly duped.
that was the stand that they took. And even though some of them, like Aaron, felt all he'd had was a hiss on the cheek, you know, they didn't really think that it was such a big issue. In order for them all to get strength in numbers, they had to all take the same hard line. And the solicitors would uncover things about Miriam, like a porn movie that she had made, which, you know, years later she was ashamed of. But the boys' solicitors just felt that this was a way to win by leaning on the sexual assault charge with more gravity and also using interest from the tabloids, which is now fired up. You can imagine.
Oh, man.
But this was a £1 million series that Sky had paid for.
Yep.
And they wanted their money's worth. So it kind of flipped. Yes, the transmission dates were put on hold while they figured a few things out. But while the press were kicking off with headlines like Sick Britain and, you know, all of this kind of stuff, that just gave more fuel to the fire for Sky because they wanted to jump on their...
Of course.
They were going to get all their viewing figures.
There's no such thing as bad publicity. This is firing up everyone's interest. People are going to be like, I want to watch this. Yep. I want to see these jocks get taken down because, you know, tall poppy syndrome without thinking at all about what about Miriam's mental health in this?
No, nobody gave a thought to her.
You know, she also has been manipulated. She's a vulnerable person who's been manipulated, I would say, based on what you're telling me. I think it sounds cruel.
Yes, and she was completely villainized during this whole process as well in post-production. Sky said they understood why the contestants were upset, but they had to air the show, especially now, as I said, the public interest was at peak. So they paid the boys a reported £3 million each, which is not true. They say it was more like 500,000, which the solicitors took half of. So they ended up walking away with about 200,000 each. And like I said, no one thought of Miriam. She was just left to fly off on her own, go back to New York. Now, a lot of trans viewers were very excited about the show because they felt that it was going to be something a bit more celebratory. But of course, on viewing it, they just found it even more degrading. And a lot of them felt that it had pushed the whole acceptance of the trans, push it back.
Yeah, of course.
Basically.
It hurt them rather than lifted them, I would say, because it made a mockery of this and it showed the true feelings of people and the viewing public too. It's, mockery.
Yeah, laughing at it. Everybody was doing like sketches about it, making jokes about it. It was everywhere. So Miriam, she returns to NYC, to her old friends, and she just partied hard. She was a little bit traumatized by the whole thing, I'd say. She was low on cash, so sex work was the only option to make any money at this point, and she began to advertise herself on Craigslist, which, as you know, Michelle, because we've done stories about this before, it exposed her to all kinds of danger. Now, one day, word got around to Miriam's friends that she was in the hospital with gunshot wounds. They're looking for her everywhere, but none of the hospitals were claiming to have had a trans woman come through their doors. But eventually they found her and she hadn't been shot, but she had fallen out of a building 4 stories and broken every bone in her body.
Oh, my God. So to clarify, these boys all took an injunction and got money. Maybe not a lot, but they got money. And Miriam, who was the butt of the joke, got nothing.
They got money. Miriam got
That's
nothing.
fucking awful.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think they felt at that moment that they were the butt of the joke because they were the ones that were in the dark.
Yes,
you
but
see.
she was also the butt of the joke.
Oh, yeah.
She probably just couldn't see it.
Oh, yeah, there was some poor behaviour all round. What had happened to Miriam to find her in hospital with a shaved head, having had brain surgery and broken every single bone in her body? What had happened was she'd answered a knock at the door. A man arrived with a hammer and attacked her. He beat her face up and said, when my friend's coming, he's going to do whatever he wants to you. So at this point, she thinks she's going to die and she doesn't remember what happens next. But somehow she went out that window and she was now unrecognizable from that. So it took a long time for her to recover, but she did. She had restricted movement in her one of her hands because it was just basically frozen like a claw. But she taught herself how to do her makeup with it. She had hope. She never gave up. She grew her hair back out. She still had this hand disability, but yeah, she continued to make it work. And in 2008, after the attack, she went back to her childhood friend Daniela, who I mentioned before, and stayed with her for a bit. And while she was there, MTV showed the fucking program. There's Something About Miriam.
Oh my God.
And she thought, oh God, here we go again. But then suddenly a light bulb went off for Miriam. She thought, oh, okay, I know how to make money out of this. It's my time. This is how I get my money back. So she decided, because it was globally being played on MTV and it was a big hit, she decided that she would start traveling around the world and cash in on the fame and get enough money to set herself up for life.
Okay.
Why not? At some point, she went to Vegas and she made a lot of money there. So she's doing sex work as Miriam, the reality star. Everybody knows who she is now. They all want a piece of her. She was happy.
Yep.
Apparently, according to her friends, she was living a fancy life. She was dating a male escort, and together they were both doing sex work and earning quite a lot of money. But then the heavy drugs came along and the shady characters came into her life. And at some point, according to her friends, she disappeared for about 7 months. No one heard from her.
And all through this, she's not had any more ops to make her a woman, to get rid of the D.
I don't believe she has. No, I don't think she has.
So she's just stayed.
I'm not sure, but yeah. As far as I know, she stayed as she is, which she was happy with, you know?
Yeah.
But at some point, after disappearing for 7 months, then Daniela got a phone call asking for help. It was her, Miriam, saying she needed to leave Vegas ASAP and that people were after her. When she arrived at Daniela's, Daniela was so shocked to see her. She was so skinny and the light had gone out of her eyes. She looked appalling. She was also drinking a lot, and she told Daniela that she was in serious danger and that the people who did this to her, they were coming after her.
Oh, God.
Miriam told Daniela that she had been kidnapped and taken to a house outside of Vegas where it was guarded by men with guns, and that she had been kept drugged and drunk and had her sex work day and night. So basically sex trafficked.
Yep. That is fucking horrific. This poor girl.
As if that's not a trigger in itself, there's more. Trigger warning. Then she told Daniela that she would be put in a bathtub and men would kill chickens and baby goats and pour the blood over her and do a type of witchcraft that's known in certain Latino countries as Santeria, which is like making curses leave or putting curses on is part of it. And that is the way that they controlled her and the other girls working.
Fuck.
If they wanted to leave, they were being put a curse, and they believed these curses and things.
Yep.
But Daniela wasn't sure what to believe. She really thought that Miriam might be a bit delusional. She didn't believe it necessarily. But eventually, so then Miriam, she spends her time with Daniela. Eventually, she goes home to Mexico for a while. And on the 5th of February in 2019, trigger warning once more, Miriam's mum found 38-year-old Miriam's body. She had hanged herself.
Oh, poor little lamb.
It looked, by all accounts, that Miriam had taken her own life. However, her mother doesn't believe it was suicide. She said that when she found her, her feet were 40 centimeters off the ground and there was nothing around that she could have climbed onto. And she strongly believes that there could have been at least 2 people present. There had to be, at least.
Right. I'm not sure what to believe here, because obviously a mother never wants to believe that their child could be in such pain and so unhappy that they would take their own life.
For sure. This is where an ex-boyfriend from years ago pipes up. Yeah, he's an older man, Daniel Cuervo. He also believes she was murdered. And in a taped interview, if you like, he was seen saying things like, she can't move her left arm because of the accident, which, we knew to be true. And he found it hard to imagine her arranging her own suicide with this disability on her own.
Yep.
Now, there was also some information from a vice police detective called Gil Shannon, who was on the documentary. He called her a renegade in the sex industry, which is basically somebody who works on their own with no pimp, their own boss. And he said this can get very dangerous because it's disrespectful to the pimps and they don't like it. When they find out you're doing that, they want a piece of that.
And also, too, she's got fame. She's charging the big dollars and she's getting it all. There's no commission to the pimps. So, yeah, I can see that.
So at one point, the detective Gil Shannon and his team of police in Vice had to investigate a brothel house, which was on the outskirts of Vegas, that was believed to be using Santeria, which is what I spoke of earlier, to put curses on their workers, and that they'd been trafficked and held against their will if they tried to leave.
Yep.
They found this house. It was true. It was written about in papers, and the documentary team making this documentary showed it to Daniela.
Yep.
And that was a real pin drop moment for her. She suddenly realized that everything that Miriam had been telling her
was
true. When Miriam had arrived back in Mexico, she had nothing.
Yeah.
She turned up with only the clothes on her back, no ID papers, nothing. She was still doing drugs and drinking, but she had vowed to leave Mexico and get herself together.
Yeah.
She wanted to get out. But on the day of her death at 9 o'clock in the morning, Daniel Cuervo, the ex-boyfriend, he said that Miriam had called to say that she had been spitting blood all day, that she wasn't well. So he said, oh, you've got to go see a doctor. Go. Give me a call later on when you've seen the doctor. Let me know what they said. So she did. She called him at 2 p.m., but he missed the call.
Oh, no.
The next call he got was at 8 p.m. to say that she had died.
Oh, gosh. That's harsh.
But then at 10 p.m., he got another call from someone he didn't know saying, you keep away from this or you'll be next. He says.
Okay, so that's the murder conspiracy here, that second phone call.
He believes that it was the traffickers who'd found her in Mexico.
Yep.
So there was no murder investigation. It would have cost too much and probably not have gotten anywhere. But Daniela, the friend, she believed that Miriam's death was her own doing and that she had done so in a moment of misery.
Right.
What she said was ultimately it was sadness that killed her. But in the most touching scene of this documentary, and this is what made it all worthwhile for me, the whole three-parter, was her dad at the end. Because throughout you get to see him, and he does talk about Miriam. Well, he talks about Hugo, his son. He doesn't ever acknowledge Miriam.
Yep.
He doesn't ever acknowledge her. He never uses the pronouns as she or her. But after her death, and in this interview, he finally acknowledged her as a woman. And he was so heartbroken about the way that he had treated her. He was feeling so much guilt. He was saying he failed her. And if he'd been more accepting, perhaps her life wouldn't have turned out so badly. It would have been different. And then he picked up a lovely picture of her and he said, this is my daughter.
Oh,
it was so beautiful.
God. Was there tears? Because
yes, it was tears all round.
Sounds like quite an emotional ending to this documentary.
That was the one part that really, really got to me. It was, too little too late, unfortunately.
Yep.
Love conquered in the end for him, but sadly for Miriam, she lost her life. She was really just pushed to the side and forgotten about, particularly by the producers of this program.
Endemol just cut her loose.
At the end of the documentary, there was a Sky statement about the show, and it said that it had been removed from all platforms years ago as it does not reflect Sky's attitudes towards gender identity or inclusivity, and they apologized. Similarly, the company that bought Endemol is called Banijay. They issued a similar statement saying that the management responsible for that show is no longer employed, and then Remy Blumenfeld, who was kind of powering this whole thing along, the executive producer at the time, he issued an apology in 2004, which was the year after it came out, and pointed out that Miriam was fully supported during the making of the show. But I wonder, how much was she really?
That sounds like bullshit to me, because if she was fully supported, they would not even have let that premise go through. They all knew what was going to happen. That's why they had the bouncers. That's why they weren't allowed to say she. They knew something was going to kick off, and it did.
Yeah.
Miriam had a horrible life. Not because of that, but it didn't help her, and she didn't walk away with any kind of financial benefit.
No.
And she walked away with emotional scars. Like, it's terrible. Oh, Geordie, what a fucking heartbreaking story.
It was absolutely heartbreaking, and that was just from flicking around. I wouldn't have known about it. I didn't know anything about the TV show. I didn't know anything about the controversy. I didn't know anything. No. So it was quite enlightening for me to come across this TV show, this documentary.
Yeah.
And it's shameful. When we look back, it's not going to be even looking back that far. Yes, it's 20 years ago, 21 years ago. But we don't have to look that far back to find more examples of things that just wouldn't fly in this day and age.
No, we have talked before about even Enid Blyton books. You can't read those as they are. I didn't realise. I'd bought a friend those. Oh, read these for your kids. And then it was like, oops, cancelled. Attitudes change. It doesn't take long for them to change. And I feel like we do live in a woke culture. But are we better off for that in some ways and other ways not? It's a tricky line. It's a tricky line.
I'd say it's not black and white. Yes, definitely there's a grey area there where, yes, we do need to be more considerate of others and be more open to there being more than two genders and different people living their lives in different ways. It's good to be open-minded.
But I do think you should be a little bit upfront.
Yeah, but duplicity is never going to win. Lying is not a good idea.
No. And they did it because they knew it was going to be a shit show.
Surprises are great.
Oh, God.
Some people love them. Other people hate them. But when it's a sort of surprise that maybe is not going to be necessarily well received, probably best not.
No. And not when it has really serious consequences for not just the contestants, but for the person at the heart of it, like Miriam. She was just cut adrift. Yeah. Oh, that's really awful. Wow, I'd never heard of that story. I find it shocking, actually. The lack of, duty of care that anyone felt towards really any of them on that show.
But like I said, you could go back and look at various years of Big Brother, one show that I've only seen about 2 series of ever. And you'd see the same kind of lack of care and respect. Some of the things that you'd see some of the contestants doing in this country, and I know that there are other formats in other countries, God knows what's gone on in those. You've got people having sex, you've got people doing things with wine bottles that they shouldn't be doing, that they don't want their mums to see.
And it's all out there.
Forevermore. It's like the internet, flashing your boobs.
Yeah, it's there forever. And also this was the early 2000s when reality TV was just starting to find its feet. And anything goes at this point. Obviously, there's been a lot of crackdowns. There was an investigation into Love Island a few years ago because...
Was there?
Yes, about 5 or 6 of the contestants over a period of about 6 years had taken their own lives.
Oh, my God.
And they were relating it directly back to their experience on Love Island. There is a lot more. I mean, obviously, Jade Goody, we've got Caroline Flack, all of these people who started as reality TV stars, and there can be really serious mental health repercussions. Who's supporting them?
Yeah.
Oh, Geordie, thank you so much for that story.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
A lot to think about.
Yes, it is a lot to think about. So we'll send you off. I'll send you away now with all of that on your mind. And next week you can tell me a story to make my hair curl.
Well, I've got a good one in a very similar theme. Another reality TV star. You gotta listen.
In the meantime, wherever you are,
whatever you do, just keep eavesdropping.
Eavesdropping. Eavesdropping. Dropping. Eavesdropping. Dropping. Eavesdropping. Eavesdropping.
Dropping. Dropping.